Hey everyone, I just got done grading your first assignment. Thank you. It was great to get to know you. And I noticed something kind of interesting. So, of our class, it's not that big of a class, but 5 of us, which is about half of the class, are in computer science or a closely related major, which I thought was fascinating. I said on several of yours, I said, I'm not sure if it's like somebody over there has recommended ANTH A101 is a cool class to take. I'm not sure if this is a coincidence. I'm not sure if you signed up together, but it's just really interesting. It's like last semester I did this class and I had like a bunch of art students for some reason. So this semester it's a bunch of computer science students. That's really cool. And then on top of that, there's I think 3 other students who are doing engineering. So that's another kind of cluster of like people with somewhat similar majors. And so I wanted to mention something that might be interesting to those of you who are in the tech field and might also have some interest to those of you who are in the engineering fields. So anthropology can seem pretty distantly related to something like computer science, right? Those might not seem like they go hand in hand, but you might really be surprised. So right here, I've got a website from a group called EPIC, and they are a group of people that are basically anthropologists who work in the private sector, who work for industry. And that can look like a lot of different things, but part of what that is people doing user design. You can see several job postings actually for that here. So there's a chunk of anthropologists who work for tech firms and for other kinds of groups helping design products, basically doing interviews and surveys and focus groups to try to better understand what customers really want. And part of what they do is an approach we call ethnography, which we'll talk about more in a couple of weeks, but basically, immersing yourself in a group of people, spending time just kind of observing them about their daily life, which, turns out you can find out a lot about how somebody uses technology by doing that, both the ways that people use technology right from an engineering perspective and the way they use it wrong from an engineering perspective and what they actually need out of it. And so, it's a good complement to the incredible and important and for somebody like me, like magical, right? Since I don't do it myself, but the almost like magical work that coders and computer engineers do. You do have these like anthropologists and other social science who do this kind of user design, ethnography kind of research that's a complement to that. That's kind of an add-on to that. So I thought you might find that interesting. So if you are interested in it, I would check out epicpeople.org. You can also check out this website. It was one of the first results on Google when I typed in design anthropology, but it's called Design Anthropologists, an emerging group of design thinkers focused on innovation. Also later in the semester, we will, at the very end, there will be a module called Applying Anthropology. And in that, I will talk about basically how to use anthropology and if you're not, going into being an anthropology professor. And we'll talk about a variety of jobs that anthropologists do in the economy that usually aren't called anthropologists. And one of those areas, again, is sort of tech anthropology, anthropology of design, as we usually call it, design anthropology or anthropology of tech and so forth. So anyways, you might find that really interesting. I hope you do. I think there will be other things too that, I think a lot of you have obviously a lot of interests outside of your one specific major, but I also think that there are other modules that will kind of tie in interesting ways to computer science. And as well as for those of you who are in engineering majors, I think you may find module 12 really interesting, where we talk about language. Obviously, coding is relying upon the idea of computer languages. Obviously, that's different than a human language in a lot of, well, you know what I'm saying, a language purely for Homo sapiens rather than for humans communicating with computers, right? Those are 2 different things. But I think you'll find some interesting overlap in terms of linguistic theory, and especially as we talk about sort of how do we make meaning and how do we get that across to another entity, whether that's another human or another computer. So anyways, I think there'll be some good stuff in this class. I hope you really enjoy it. And I hope you, in addition to enjoying it and finding it interesting on its own grounds, I hope you do see some interesting connections with your own work. I'm a big proponent of the idea that anthropology is important for all of us, whether or not we're an anthropology major. We could all do a better job of understanding other people, right? Most of us have to interact with other people. in one way or another in our job. And, you know, kind of the crux of course, engineering is designing things that people are going to be using, right? So understanding histories, understanding cultures can always be a useful, I think, tag on, you know, taking a course or two, and it can be a useful tag on to a major like that. So I hope you find it interesting. I hope you find it relevant, and I will talk to you later.